So, Fever fans, this is some disappointing news because it's looking like, from what we're reading, Satou Sabally does not have any interest in going to Indiana, and that her interest is in the the Liberty and the Liberty only, which obviously is not an ideal situation for the Fever, but it's not an ideal situation for the Dallas Wings. One positive is that, look, Satou obviously would be a great player to have for the Indiana Fever. She would. But the problem is that she's not good enough to give up to give up your future for. I've always said this. Anything more than Alyssa Smith and the 8th pick is too much. So people are like, oh, I was saying Satou would be perfect. Yeah, Satou would be, of all the free agent power forwards available, Satou is the best of them. But and she's much better than Alyssa Smith. But still, you just don't. She's not worth getting your future for, especially because of the injury issues. And look, she still is going to be. If she wanted to go to the Fever, it would still be a great signing, especially if it was for, kind of less than the going rate. But she made it clear she wanted to play in New York and she wanted to play with her sister in New York. Look, if you guys know anything, the Liberty are probably not going to be able to keep Taurasi Sabally next year. The Liberty are already struggling money-wise. Taurasi Sabally is going to, as a restricted free agent, is probably going to be making 150, 160k a year. They're not going to be able to pay her that in 2026. And we don't know what way free agency is going to work after the new, with restricted free agency and coring and everything in the new CBA. They probably can't afford to keep Taurasi Sabally. But I just read this here. And it's about a WNBA source. A source familiar with Satou's thinking told the Next she definitely wants to be in New York if the Liberty have the money or salary cap space to make it work. She's always expressed her preference to play in a big city like New York, which was also where she rehabbed her shoulder injury that kept her out the first half of the season. So she lived in New York. So she lives in New York. She rehabbed in New York. She was born in New York. Her sister plays in New York. Her college teammate Sabrina Ionescu plays in New York. And so obviously New York is going to be the first priority. New York is going to be first. And I've always said this, where it's I think from the get-go, I think the only way, ever since she said she wanted to play with her sister and play in New York, I thought the only way of her going to the Fever is if she went to Dallas and gives them 4 teams. And it's this is my list of priorities. These are my list of teams. Send me to one of these teams. Because it's hard. It's a lot when you have. It's a lot easier to be sent somewhere if you've got 2 teams. For example, if she says she's going Liberty or nowhere, and Fever offer a really good offer, they could Elena Deladon her. They could. We've seen it with Elena Deladon. If you say, I want to go to one team, and that one team won't give up anything for you, they might just say, you know what, we'll core you again next year. We'll trade you during the season. We have your rights. Or we'll take our time trading you and end up sitting out. Everybody that's other than Elena Deladon that's been cored and wanted out has been traded, but it's happened mid-season sometimes. It's not as smooth as you think. And especially if Dallas are wanting Leonie Fibic. If Dallas are dumb enough to want Leonie Fibic, then not dumb enough to want Leonie Fibic. If they're smart enough to want Fibic and the Liberty are dumb enough to give up Leonie Fibic, I think that if you're a Fever fan, she's the player you should go for. I think Fibic is better than Satou. That is just my personal preference. But look, the problem is that the perfect power forward beside Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kate Martin does exist, and she actually played for the Fever, but that perfect power forward is Alana Smith. I would take Alana Smith over Satou Sabally. I would take, obviously, Fee, Stewie, but they're not, you can't take either of them. So it's it's really hard to find that high-level power forward, even though Alyssa Smith was the worst starting power forward in the WNBA last year. It's a really tough one to find those players because they don't really exist yet. And by yet, I mean they will exist. They'll exist very soon. Dominique Malonga is shooting 30% or shooting 40% on threes at 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan. Aja Sivka is 6'4", good defender, shoots the 3 ball well. you're going to be seeing a lot of young players coming up in college to shoot the 3-ball well at 6'3", 6'4". So like those players are going to be there eventually, but like they're going to be on like the same timeline as a Caitlin Clark, as an Aaliyah Boston. But it's going to be hard to find one of them currently, because that's not really an archetype that existed. Like the big shooting threes is not something that was prioritized in the backwards coaching of college women's basketball as far as player development is concerned. Which is obviously like, look, Satou, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, did Satou grew up in Germany, didn't she? Because I know obviously she plays with the German national team. Like the only reason, like the first time I ever really watched Satou was, I actually watched Niara before I watched Satou. Niara played in the European Championships in Ireland and destroyed, like Ireland played Germany in the final and absolutely destroyed us. Like Ireland had a really good player named Claire Amelia who's playing like for Ferrol in Euro Cup right now, but like she got destroyed by Taurasi Sabally. But yeah, I was like, did she yeah, she grew up in Germany, but hence probably why she wasn't told go play center. But yeah, I don't think the Fever are losing much by not getting Satou. I think the biggest thing is that they still have Nilissa Smith on the roster. Like, if I can find a way, I think it's more important that the team finds a way out of Nilissa Smith than it is that they get a Satou. Like, I think that was the big thing. Like, if you can find some way to swing some trade to get somebody, and like Janelle Salone, and I've said this like months ago, I'm like, I would rather Janelle Salone than Satou Sabally, because I think she plays harder, she plays with a higher motor, there's about an inch height difference, she's a better defender, and she actually rebounds the ball. So like that would be my preference for the power forward position if you're the Fever, like over Satou. And it has been for months. Like since Janelle started like really doing well in EuroLeague, like Janelle Salone has been like, that's been my number one preference. But like if that's not going to happen, and then if you are Satou, or if I would 100 times rather Satou start than Nilissa Smith start, because Satou, while is a 10% better defender than Nilissa Smith, as bad as both of them are, she's a better defender than Smith, and she's a significantly better fit on the offensive end. And I think with Satou, if she does go to Fever, great, she'll still go, like she'll still get buckets, but and the Fever are just going to try out gun teams. But still, Satou's not the perfect fit. So if she's not there in the Fever, I don't really care. And if the Liberty have to give up Leonie Fibic to get her, if I am the Fever, I am giving every single one of my assets that I possibly can give away to get Leonie Fibic. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.